Hello and welcome to the first of 3 videos giving an overview of my AWD system I've designed. This first video will cover the main factory, which is what we're looking at now. It's designed to go in your main base. The second video will be for the walls, and the third video will be for the outposts. Let's get the factory up and running. You can see I'm in Sandbox Mode here. Sorry, I'll just out. Up. And this will now start producing the parts that it needs. So the main part of the factory here is where it produces all the parts necessary to construct the walls, to construct the outposts, and they will all feed down into these 2 stations here. This one is the main one that does all the walls and the defences, and this one is solely used for the outposts. This one does both the walls and the outposts, because this has some of the parts that are needed for the outposts as well. And as you can see, it's starting to construct and store the number of items that it's been set. This bit here, I'll go over. I'll try and explain what all the circuits are, because there's a lot more in this one than the previous ones. This here is just to control the items that are going to be loaded into the train, and they're set here. These 3 are a memory system for the belts, so I've tried to make this version control its inventory a lot better. So as items are put onto the belts that are delivering, so these inserts here, for example, on the lights, that has a pulse read which adds an item to the memory, so that's all the things there that it can see on the belts. And then as they're picked up off the belt, this sends a pulse as well, and I think it's this one converts it into a negative signal, which then takes it out of the memory. So that should be everything that's currently on the belts going to the main storage, and that'll just work away until it's got everything constructed that it needs. Here is Logistic Network. So within your main base, if you have items within your Logistic Network that this can use, it monitors it through this roboport here, and then it will. I've specified an amount, so it'll always leave a minimum amount in your network, so it won't just wipe out and clean out your logistics network. So for example, ammo, which is actually over here. If there's over 1,000 rounds in your logistics network, it will request and take anything over that 1,000, so it will leave 1,000 in there for you to use. And I've set that for different levels for each item. So for example, the efficiency modules, it's anything over 50 it will take. Walls are over 1,000 as well. Inserters, I think it's over 250. Over 250 it will then request them, and we can demonstrate that by putting items in here. So as I say, I'm in Sandbox, so I can just generate them. So generate 500 of those. Power poles. Let's do 5 poles. Let's do some ammo. Plenty of ammo. Let's do walls. I think walls are a minimum of 1,000. Yeah, that should do. And let's just put that in some random boxes here. Now you'll notice. Oh, I'll tell you what we actually do need. We need some logistics box. Can. This network, I should have done that before I started. I think. Now you may notice it's not actually doing anything. Now the reason for that is I have set like a switch on this. So there's a requester chest here that's requesting a requester chest. Now the idea behind that is if you build this before you have the logistics network researched, this will still read the network, and if it sees things in the network that it can use, it won't build them. So this was one of the bugs I found actually, that so to prevent that, I've built the switch in so that when the chests are being produced, it will request one, and that will then switch it on. So now we should see it's grabbing, it's now recognizing what's in the network, and it's going to start dumping them onto the belts. Now it will also, anything that's in the network, it will remove any build requests from this. So if you hover over one of these power poles, the flickering green circuit is the pulses from it putting things on the belt, and the red is it requesting, what it needs to, what it needs to make. And if you notice, the inserters have gone way into the minus because there's a lot more inserters available in the network than what it needs. So that's why that's now a big minus. So the more minus it is, the more is available in your network. And like I say, it should leave. So it's left 1,000 wall. It should leave the network as well. Wall actually is there. Sometimes it goes just below, but it's it's plus or minus a couple, should we say, within 5. Let's and it'll do the same with the ammo. But now this inserter will be, this one here will be switched off, so it'll no longer be producing inserters. It still is making them because it's feeding them into the fast, which is feeding them into the stack inserters there. So that's what this bit does, is it monitors the network, and you can see it's unloading them and putting them on. Obviously it gets quite congested on the belt when it's doing that, which is why they're backing up. These 3 stations here are, well, the 2 outer ones here are just the pre-checks before it goes into the loading stations. These are direction specific, so if for whatever reason the trains have left and they come back in the wrong direction, it causes problems. So these it just stops here, 5 seconds of inactivity, and it moves on. But if it has come back in the wrong way, it unloads into these chests here, up these ones, which it sees as part of its inventory, so that it knows they're there while they're in those chests. Once it's unloaded, the idea of using the chest is to get the stuff out of the train as quickly as possible. It'll then come back into here and reload, and then it'll start to feed it back along the belt and re-put it back into the main inventory. This train here is the trash train, so this is bringing stuff back. So this is used if you dump some stuff into one of the outposts or the walls. I don't know, wood, anything you've got on you that you don't want, or the wood that's picked up from actually building the walls. It'll bring all of that back. It'll also bring back walls that are no longer needed, and it'll recycle it. That's what this decon planner's for here. And it literally will bring everything back. Anything it can use, first of all, it will unload that first, and it puts it into these chests here. Once it's got everything out of the train that it can use, it'll then dump the rest into these active providers, and it'll dump it back into your logistics network. The trash system will also hold on to items, so as you're recycling and bringing stuff back, it will feed them back. But if these fill up and they can't hold any more, again it's set that it will hold items back in these chests. Now I've set those to hold the equivalent of a train load. So for example, the train has 2,000 walls in it at a time. It will hold 2,000 walls inside these chests, hopefully evenly spread out. If that's full and this has hit its limit as to what it's been allowed to hold into here, it will then throw any excess back into your logistics network. And again, as you build more stuff and it starts to use up its reserves, again as part of the logistics, it will then recall those items back rather than making any new stuff. So obviously if you're deconstructing a lot of, like a large wall section, it is possible that you could end up filling all the storage within the factory, and it will throw it back to your network. But then, you know, it's not lost, it will recall it if you haven't already used it for something else, but it will recall it as the reserves reduce within the system in here. And again, this is the trash system logic here. So this is monitoring both what's in here. It's also monitoring everything that's in here, including the ammo. The ammo is here, and it will process all of that, you know, as it comes back. The ammo train. So there's 3 chests here. Obviously, it just loads into this first one. And then these, with a tiny little bit of logic, they always look at the box in front. If the box behind it has less than the box in front, then it throws some over, which obviously is why this one's going crazy, because this is a stack inserter throwing it in a lot faster, and this one here is just pulsing every now and again as this one has more in it than the one at the back. So they usually stay pretty even, and it just allows quicker loading into the train here. Acid train, so this is for the outposts. So if you build, let me just get inside here. If you build the uranium, these acid, I was bringing acid in for making the batteries, which is right over here. I don't know if you can see that with me zoomed out, but that's making batteries. So I thought, well, I may as well include the acid for the uranium outposts within the build. That's what it's doing here. Now, if you notice, these are not full. I am giving it, you know, I have got a pipe that's just constantly feeding it in. Again, try not to empty your main base. So there's a pump here that's monitoring this tank, which is just a straight pipe connected to your factory. It will only take out of this if it gets to 5,000. So it's not going to completely drain the acid out of your main factory, and it will slowly fill up these, and it'll create its own buffer. Same with the light oil for the flamethrowers, that's over here. And obviously you've got the artillery train, which was in previous versions as well, operates in the same way. Let's turn some trains on. This one on. This one on. So these are now filling up with their items that have been set. If they're yellow, these are indicator lights here just to let you know if they're yellow, they are loading or waiting on items. I suspect this hasn't been running that long, it will be waiting on items. Yeah, it's going to be waiting for these. Look over here. So these will stay yellow. When these are full and they're ready to go, it will turn green. It's also in the train logic that, you know, if it's not getting anything, then it will go after 20 seconds. But if it gets the green signal, it will go straight away. So it's not sitting there for 20 seconds unnecessarily if it's been fully restocked. We can turn all of these on actually. The trash train isn't going to do anything at this stage. Ammo. So again, the ammo train keeps 2,000 in it. We can turn it on. Go anywhere, but we can turn it on. And that's pretty much it. Oh, one last thing. The requester chests here for the fuel don't actually have any fuel in the network at the moment. I can probably throw some in. Initially it'll run off rocket fuel as that's quite an early technology. If it'll now fill the trains up as well, so these in the blueprint are set with 30. So obviously again, if you've not got this straight away, filling the trains up when it's built they'll keep them running for quite a while. But what will happen if we use this one here as an example, it's requesting 10, you can see in the filters there. This is another switch for nuclear fuel. So as soon as you've got nuclear fuel going into your network, this will request 1. this then switches the filters to 3 nuclear fuel, so it will automatically switch over to nuclear fuel on its own when again it sees that you're producing that. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Right, this should now have settled down. Let's have a look. 1,000, 200. Oh, so it must be 200 I set it at. 200 for the poles probably as well. But that's set for everything that's in these chests. I've given it a value not to take, and I've used numbers that I personally feel are right. You can adjust them in here. So the way this filters out is it will take everything that's in the network, and then it will filter out anything that isn't over 10 million. So that's how the filters work. However, if you look in here, you'll see that these are all 9.9. And if we select, I don't know, fast inserts for example, you can see here. So there we go. So it's 100. So that's why it ignores 100 that's in your network. So it will always leave 100. It will never take over. It'll never take. It'll never leave you with less than 100 in the network. And it can only see what's over 10 million. So if we go through splitters, again 100, 200 for the bots, 100 for those, 50 for those. Belt is 1,000, so it'll only request anything if there's over 1,000 belt. Repair packs is 200. Undergrounds is 200. And it's split across 2 chests because I can't fit everything in one. Sorry, two constant combinators because I can't fit everything in one. Red belt is 1,000. Miners 200. That's 20. So you can see what it's doing here. There's your 1,000 there. Where's the ammo? Here's the ammo. So again 1,000. It will always leave 1,000. So anything over 10. So if you want to adjust those, you just need to, drop it under the 10 million as to how many you want it to leave. Just in these 2 chests here. Not chests. Constant combinators. It can take a little while to prime, so this will need to run for a little while before these go green, and then obviously it won't stop once they've gone green because it will need to fill up the buffer chests again. The idea is there should be enough in the buffer chests that the train can turn up, load really quickly, go back out again, and while it's out the factory can be producing and restocking the buffer chests whilst the construction is going on at the other end, which I think we're ready to move to now. So I'll end this one here. 18 minutes. I didn't realise I'd been talking for that long. I'll hopefully see you in the next section then, which will cover the construction of the walls. Thanks for watching. Thank you.